It is Saturday morning, and Dave and I usually on the weekdays and Sundays we have Slim Fast to eat, but on Saturdays I make a big breakfast. So I have hash browns going in the air fryer, and I have that frying pan out for the eggs, and I've got bacon going in the oven, and in my hash browns I actually I kind of try to copy Cracker Barrel's hash brown casserole, sort of. So I use sour cream and cheddar cheese, and then I have this herbal thing. It's for potatoes, and it has like garlic and onion and other kind of seasonings in there. I think there might be rosemary in there, not sure. But yeah, I sprinkle a little bit of that into it as well. And then, I don't know if you found these at Aldi yet, but they have these bagels, and they are Hawaiian bagels. They're like the Hawaiian rolls, but they're in bagel form. They are like really, really tasty. We found this a month ago, so we're gonna each have a bagel for breakfast as well. And then I've got coffee going for Dave and hot tea for me in my great big mug. So that's going to be breakfast this morning. So breakfast is done, and I am going to make some sourdough. I use the recipe from King Arthur's, and it's on the back here. It's their rustic sourdough bread, and it does call for a little yeast in addition to the sourdough that's here. So there's my water and the yeast, and there's some salt in there, and then I use Walmart brand all-purpose unbleached flour. And my starter I had to redo a couple weeks ago because it got nasty, but you can see in here, oops, it's bubbled up really, really nice. And I've got a lot of it, so I need to use some of it. And this recipe calls for a cup of starter. And I think my daughter mentioned she wanted to get some of my starter. I actually had some of hers, is what I got this from. And then it got yucky and I had to get rid of it, and so I started this back up. So I'll have to give her some of mine. So I'm going to put a cup of my starter in, and I'll show you what it looks like in a couple minutes. Now, it is chilly out, so my house is a little cool. I actually turned my oven on for about 2 minutes, just enough to get it a little bit warm, and then I put the bread in there. And I use a cotton cloth, dishcloth. Here is what the bread looks like right now, or the dough, and I just cover that over like that. And it's actually only been on maybe 30 seconds or more, and it's already warmer in there. That's about all I need. I don't want it going up to full temperature. So there it is in there. Dave's playing the mandolin in there. So there it is in the oven on the preheat. Well, it's warm in there right now, so it's just going to stay in there. Like I said, you just want it just slightly warmer because it's, like I said, it's chilly in the house, so it's not going to rise right. So I just give it a little boost, and I'll come back in a couple hours and it'll be raised, and then I'll show you what we do from there. So it has been a few hours. I've got 2 pans ready. One's a loaf pan, one's just a regular round pan. It has been a few hours, and it has risen, so I'm going to knead it again, and then it's going to go into these pans to rise a second time, and then I'll be baking them. So I'll show you in a few minutes. So there they are in the pans ready to go. And again, I'm just putting my oven on a quick preheat. It'll run, it's actually run for about a minute. and then I turn it off, and that's just enough to give a little bit of heat to it. And then I cover them, and it smells so good and yeasty already. And there it is, and I will just let it sit there and rise for another couple hours. So here is the second rising, and I'm going to turn the oven on and bake it now. So I'll show you what it looks like when it comes out. So here is the end result. 2 loaves of yumminess. So I am headed to church in a few minutes, but I thought I would show you what I'm wearing. I do have on the hedgehog, see how far back I can go. I have the hedgehog fiber sweater on and a black skirt. So I'm also, because our church is always freezing, I am bringing a granny, Virus Meets Granny shawl that I made years ago. So I'll show you that real quick. So here it is. Years ago when I made this cranberry color is, the gray and the cranberry are Ella Ray, I think it was Cozy Soft Alpaca. And then this was something Fiber Arts, Antique Fiber Arts, something like that. Yeah, and I ran out of this cranberry color, and I was afraid I was going to have to rip back the sweater or the shawl because I couldn't find it, and it wasn't going to be big enough without it. And one of you viewers came to the rescue and happened to run across it in your yarn shop, and you sent it to me. So yes, this is that shawl, and I'll hold it up close so you can see it. So it's a virus shawl, and then in between the virus it does a granny square. So it's called Virus Meets Granny or Granny Meets Virus. But it's a nice substantial shawl. So, and I'll need it at church. Because like I said, our church is always cold inside. In fact, a lady, she's since passed away years ago, she actually had crocheted a bunch of little Afghans and lapgans, and they sit in a basket in one of the back rooms at church, and if you get cold during church, you can go back and get it and put it on to try to stay warm. So yeah. But I won't be filming too much today. Of course, I won't be filming while I'm at church, but our church is about a half hour away from us, and my mom lives about 3 miles from the church, so we pick her up on Sunday mornings and take her with us. She doesn't come the other services, but I pick her up on Sunday mornings, and then she'll be at Sunday school and church with us, and then we'll drop her back off, come back home here, eat, and we always get a nap, because we started that when our children were little, you know, so that they weren't cranky for the evening service. And we've kind of always stayed with that ever since, even though our kids are now in their 40s. Dave and I come home and take a nap. And then we have to be back at church at 5:15 for choir practice in the evening service. So mostly today you're going to get what you just got this morning, and I'll show you what we have for lunch, which is really going to be simple because we don't have that much time. We got to get our nap in. Most important thing. Don't want to fall asleep in church. So I'll catch you afterwards. Hello, it is Monday. I completely forgot to film what we ate yesterday. It wasn't exciting anyway, but I completely forgot to film it. So today is Monday. Now, Monday is Mom Day. My mom, due to some health issues, had to stop driving 2 years ago, well, almost 2 years ago. So Mondays are the day that I take her around to do what she needs to do, get groceries, all that kind of thing. But my father is in a memory care unit. He has Alzheimer's. Mom cared for him at home as long as she could. But when her health started going downhill, then it was just too much for her. So Dad's in a memory care place, but it's about an hour from where I live. So we go there every other Monday, and today's one of those Mondays. So we're headed there. I will not be filming, you know, my dad in the nursing home. I'm not going to be doing that. But yeah, I'm headed to go pick up Mom, and then we're headed there. Then we go to lunch together. And today we actually have to make an extra stop because we need to do some final planning and take care of that today, just for when the time comes. So we're doing that. And then we're going to go get groceries. So it's going to be kind of a long day. I will film what I'm able to or feel comfortable doing. So yeah, let's get started. My mother lives about a half hour from where I live. So yeah, we'll go pick her up and head out. So Mom and I are at lunch. There she is. We are at Round the Clock Diner, and we like to order off of this menu because we can both eat for $20.99 for the two of us. So Mom usually gets the shrimp and I usually get the veal cutlet. So we'll show you that when it comes out. So Mom has ham and bean soup. She likes it. And I've got tomato. You can tell I forgot to film it ahead of time. So, yep, that's what we're having before we have our lunch. So our food has arrived, and Mom has shrimp and French fries. She was getting into her sauce. She finished her ham and bean. She's sneaking a shrimp into the sauce, dunking that into the sauce. She approves. And I've got the veal with French fries. Yummy, yummy. Bye. Our trip is done today. So it's raining. I'm going back out into the car.
It's fun.
Yeah. We didn't melt, so that's good. Yeah.
Look a little bad. But
Yeah, a little soggy, but we didn't melt. So stay tuned for the rest of my week or whatever. Well, you'll see Mom again tomorrow because we're going to Ladies Fellowship together tomorrow evening.
Yeah.
Yep.
This is a fun week.
Yeah, she's getting out a lot. Okie doke. We will see you for Thursday. Or no, Tuesday. It's
Tuesday.
Tomorrow's Tuesday, yeah. Okay, bye.
Bye.
So welcome to Tuesday. Tonight my mother and I are going to an event at church. We have a ladies fellowship once a month, and tonight we are having soup and salad. There's about 15 of us that get together, and we have a guest speaker. Actually, we have a missionary visiting, and his wife is going to do the devotional time. So I am making a copy of Olive Garden's Zuppa Toscana soup. Now I modify the recipe that I've got just because I've made it several times and there's a few things I change in it. And I am going to be doubling the recipe for this to feed enough people because this normally would make enough food for about 4 people. So what I'm going to need, and I am going to put this in a crock pot before I go. And actually my crock pot, you'll see it right there. I put a crock pot liner in it, and then that way I can rubber band it shut and then put the lid on it, and then it's not as apt to spill. My mom will be holding it while we're going down the road, but I have to get to her house, and I'll be kind of trying to hope to put it in the front seat and stick it in a box or something so it doesn't tip. But I've just found with the slow cooker liners, if I rubber band them shut, it saves spillage. So back over to our food here. So here's what I'm going to be using. Chicken broth, sausage. This is just plain pork sausage. You can use Italian sausage. It calls for hot and spicy. I don't, because not everybody likes spicy. So I just use the regular mild pork sausage. Now the recipe called to fry it. I don't fry my sausage for soups and things. I also don't fry my ground beef for tacos. I actually boil it and then I drain it off, and that way I get most of the fat out of it because I'm trying to avoid some of the fat. So I have boiled and already squished it up, so we're ready to go with that. You will also need some half and half And then I'm supplementing that if I need some extra. I have some 1% milk. And then you need 1 russet potato. Here it is, chopped up. You can put it in cubes. I cut it into like 1/4-inch slices, and then I cut those in quarters. So let's get started. Like I said, I am doubling. Oh, and I also have some onions here. When I buy an onion, because it's just Dave and I come home and I cut it up, and then I package it into little sandwich size bags, and then I freeze it, and then I can just break out what I need and yeah, use it from that. So I won't be using all of that onion, just some of it. I will also be adding some red pepper flakes towards the end. And depending on taste, salt, pepper, and a little bit of garlic powder if it needs it. Like I said, this is one of these recipes where I kind of tweak it as I go. But this is a 32-ounce container of chicken broth. So I'm going to put all of that in there. Okay, it calls for calls for a 1/4 cup of heavy cream. I bought half and half instead, and this is 16 ounces. So I'm going to put in about 1/4 of this. Like I said, we will probably be adding to it. I might not need the other milk, but I'll have it on hand just in case. So I'm just going to pour this in. About like that. Like I said, I will be adjusting that as the cooking process goes on. And then I'm going to turn the heat on just to about medium. And I'm going to add my potato. This is just 1 potato. You can add more if you want it. It also calls for kale, but I don't like green vegetables, so those aren't going in there. I don't find it changes the flavor a whole lot, so I don't put that in there. It's not a healthy soup, to say the least. I guess the kale's supposed to make it feel like it's a little more healthy, but it's not. And then we're going to add the sausage. Like I said, I boiled this and then squished it up into, crumbled it up. But by draining the fat off, at least I'm not introducing more fat into the soup. There we go. I'm just going to stir this around. And we're going to let it simmer for about an hour. And then when I come back, we will taste it and adjust from there what we need to do. Oh, I forgot to stick my onions in there. And it's not going to be much. But if you remember at Olive Garden, there are onions in the zuppa toscana. This recipe just didn't call for any in there, but we're going to do that because everything's better with onion. Okay, there we go, and we will come back in about an hour and adjust what needs to be adjusted for the taste. So I just tasted it, and it does need some seasoning because it's very, very bland tasting. So I am going to dump some more cream in here, well, half and a half. And it needs some salt, so it's going to get some salt. I'll come back and taste that a little bit better, a little later. Little pepper. I was looking to see if I had red pepper, and I'm actually out of it, so we're putting that in instead. And I have some garlic, but I also have some garlic and pepper seasoning, so I think we'll put that in. If I can find the opening. There we go. Yeah, that's tasting better. So we're just going to let it continue to simmer at this point. So So I am ready to go. I've made a total mess. I'll have to clean that up when I get home. But this is how I take this so it's not going to spill. And then I just stick it in the crock pot. Well, it's in the crock pot bottom here. And I'll stick it in to that and take it to church with the lid and then heat it back up again. So here Mom and I are. We are ready to go into our ladies fellowship. I'm not going to take the camera in. There we go, paper in the way. Not going to take the camera in because not everybody wants to be on film. Mom's been tempted to get into the soup.
It smells good. This is
So yeah, so we shall see if it makes it inside. So we will check in for the, yeah, we'll do that tomorrow. We'll see you again tomorrow. Stay tuned. We'll be here. Well, good morning. It is Wednesday. The dinner went really nice last night. I had very little soup left over, literally about a cup, which I sent home with my mom because it wasn't enough like for a bowl for Dave or I, but it would be perfect for Mom with her lunch. So she had that, and so that worked out. So I thought I would show you what I am wearing today. This is I gotta get you in a better light. There we go. This is called the Little Holes on the Bias cowl. And this is one of my patterns. It is over on Lovecrafts. I will put a link down below. If you look under my patterns, you'll see it. But it's called Little Holes on the Bias. And it's a fun one to make and goes pretty quick. You can do it with one skein of yarn. So that's what I'm wearing. And today I thought I would show you how I make my 40-ounce cup of tea. So I'm going to move the camera around again. So I have my kettle on, and I actually use a French press. You'll see that. I have hard water at our house, which you can kind of see on my French press. And this is that little tea caddy I made about a year ago. I think I did it during Vlogmas last year. It's from IKEA, and I use it to store like sweetener. There's sweet and low. And then up here I have some regular tea, just in tea bags, and some other tea here. This one is currently empty, I think. Oh, there's a tea bag in there. I think that's a decaf tea. But this is what I use for my loose tea. I buy it from a company called Lollycup online, and it's their black red tea. It's actually Tea Zone, but the website that I buy it off of is called Lollycup. So, and I like it because I don't like green tea, I like black tea. And I pour enough tea in because I kind of make this really concentrated, and then I fill this up about 3/4 of the way with just water, and so then this gets diluted down. But if you see where this little mark is right here, that's where I fill the tea leaves up to. I like my tea very strong. It's probably about 2 tablespoons is what's in there. Then I put in my sweetener, and I use a mix of, this is Walmart's brand, but Equal and Sweet and Low. I put equal parts in there. And this is a 40-ounce cup. I'll drink on this like most of the morning and probably till lunchtime. I just keep reheating it as I need to. And then after I get my sweetener in there, I do not use cream with my tea. That's not as big a thing here in the US as it is like over in Europe. I mean, I have a friend of mine that puts cream in her tea, but most people I know don't. But I do like lemon in my tea, so I stick a little bit of lemon juice in there. So I'm going to wait for my tea kettle to finish heating up, and I'll show you what I do next. So I've got my lemon and my sweetener in my tea. And I'm getting ready to pour with the tea kettle. Now I'll put in about water up to about here, and then I'll stir it because this is my iced teaspoon, and as you can see, it's not going to work too well. So I put some in, and I actually use almost all the water in here. We get to test my coordination. And then I'm going to pour it into this. Then I give this a stir while I can get my hand in it without burning myself. And then I put the rest of the water in here. And there we go. I've got it filled. There you can see it to there. So this will steep for about 10 minutes. Let me hold this up to the light so you can see the tea leaves going down there, and I will, like I said, let it steep almost 10 minutes because I like it really strong. And then I'll pour it in with, the water here, and it'll dilute it some. So yeah, so this is made extra strong because it's gonna get mixed in with water. But that's how I make my tea in the morning. So there's not too much going on today that I'm going to actually film beyond making my tea because I'm going to be working on spiders. You'll see that in tomorrow's video. I have been crocheting little teeny spiders, well, little spiders, and a great big spider that's actually kind of cute for a spider. So make sure you tune in tomorrow. When I say tomorrow, I mean our Saturday podcast, because today's Wednesday and I've got another day to film of this little vlog of the week. But yeah, tonight we have church, so today I'm just going to be mostly working on trying to get more spiders made for the craft fair this weekend. So I will check in with you later, which will be Thursday. See. Well, it is Thursday. Not too much going on today. Normally on Thursdays we do music lessons with our grandkids. Whenever our grandchildren turn 10, if they're interested in playing a musical instrument, we get that musical instrument for them. And if it's an instrument we know how to play, then we give them lessons. So far, my son, he and his family live out in Ohio, so we don't do lessons for them. But out of his children, we have a guitar player, piano player, and a violinist. And then their youngest isn't 10 yet, so we'll wait and see what he's interested in. And then my daughter lives about 5 miles actually she lives right around the corner from where I'm at right now because I'm in the car. Dave's in the bank, and so we're doing that. But my daughter has 7 children, and her oldest played violin. Now she's married now and out of the house. And then the next oldest one, who's now 21, he played guitar, so I gave him guitar lessons. And then the next 2, one of which is also out of school now and working, he plays mandolin, and so does the next youngest one, so my husband's still giving him lessons. And then the next 2 are playing banjo, so I'm giving them lessons. And then we have one more on that side of the family to see what he plays so far that he's interested in. So normally that would be our Thursday afternoon activity because they are homeschooled, so when they finish school they would come over for the music lessons. But Dave had to have a root canal last week, and today we have to go get the crown fitting thing done. So yeah, we had to cancel. So we'll get started next week with that. But we're currently at the bank. Dave's running in to do some banking, and then we're going over, and Dave's gonna probably be in pain and eating soft things the rest of the day because they have to shape and mold the tooth and get the mold itself taken for the crown. So I guess probably in the next week or two, we'll be going back to the dentist again to get that crown put on. So that's our fun today. So like I said, not too much to share. When we get back home, I will show you some landscaping I did recently. We had some shrubs that were getting way overgrown, and so we had a bunch of them taken out. We tried to do it ourselves, but that didn't work out so well. It resulted in the shovel giving way and me rolling across the front yard, which was not attractive, although I'm sure it gave the neighbors some amusement. But yeah, we aren't going to do that again. But I did get some more shrubs and get those planted. So when we get back home, I will show you what I have in the flower beds currently. So this is the front of our house, and these big boxwoods, well, not big, but I've trimmed them down. We've had these in here for quite a few years, but in between them, we had these, where these little plants are, we had these big something or others. I have no idea what they were, but they always looked scruffy. So we took those out and we planted these, which I also don't know what they are because I'm not a plant person, but they have these little spiky flowers on them, or spiky leaves on them, and they get little yellow flowers on top. I do need to get mulch yet. That's where we stopped at. But I have those. And then this plant here, we had another one of those scruffy looking things here. We took that out, and that's a red azalea. And then in between these two boxwoods, we put another one of those little spiky plants with the yellow. And then up here in front, we had a juniper that was a ground juniper, and we kept getting yellow jacket, like bees, ground bees, in. But then it was so thick we couldn't see where the nest was. So we had that taken out, and these are two red azaleas as well. And then on the corner here, that used to be a burning bush. And it got so big, even though I trimmed it back every year, it was getting close to the foundation of the house. So we took that out, and then on the side of the house, over behind the chair, I have two hydrangeas. So like I said, I still need to get the mulch in. But yep, then it'll look a lot better once it looks a little cleaned up. But that's my planting.